Is the screen is visible? Is the screen is visible? Thank you. So in the last class, yesterday's class, we have with the unit 5, that is mining stream and sequence data. So we have already discussed all these things in the last class. What is meant by streaming data? So stream data flow in and out in a computer system continuously and with varying update rates. So in streaming data, data is not fixed, not static. Madam, Satyam, so data is not dynamic, it is static. So, sorry, data is not static, it is dynamic. So it is continuously changing with respect to time. So here in this chapter, they are dealing with the different methods of mining association rules, classification methods, clustering methods, etc. on the streaming data. Since the data is continuously moving here with respect to the time, existing algorithms as it is, we can't use the algorithms here. So we need to develop some new algorithms based on by using the existing algorithms. So that's what we have seen yesterday. We have seen about frequent pattern mining in data streams. We have already seen this in last class itself. So here, we have a lossy counting algorithm for mining the frequent item sets. So here we are not going to mine the exact frequent item sets. We are along with that, we are going to mine the approximate frequent item sets. So this approximation can be achieved with the error bound. This approximation can be achieved with the error bound. So, error bound epsilon. And so we have some process gone through yesterday. We are having some frequency list data structure, which includes frequency count for each and every item in the stream, current stream, along with the frequency count f. The frequency count is indicated with f, and along with that f, we are having some other element is there for each entry, which is called as delta. So which is nothing but maximum possible error of f. So each field, each entry in the frequency list data structure consisting of two elements. One is f and another one is delta, where f is the approximate frequency count and delta is the maximum possible error of f. So those two, how we get the values of f and how we can see the value of delta, we have already seen in the last class. So this is the way we can mine the frequent item sets. And come to the classification by dynamic data streams. Here we are having some algorithms for classification. And the last class we have discussed about Huffington tree algorithm. So this Huffington tree algorithm is based on the decision tree and it uses the Huffington bound. So it says that we have we have only dealt with this algorithm only in the last class, and now we are going to deal with remaining these three. So no need to go in details because in your syllabus they are asked about the basic concepts of the algorithms only. So in the textbook also they are given the basic concepts. No need to go through the details of each algorithm. So this Huffington tree algorithm uses Huffington bound. So what's its main concept is, instead of, so if you remember, for construction of the decision tree, for constructing decision tree, and you have an attribute selection measure. Attribute selection method is there for to decide the root attribute. So a attribute ని బేస్ చేసుకొని మనం అక్కడ split చేయాలి. What is the splitting criteria? To decide that, we need to go for the attribute selection measures like information gain ratio, etc. So here so those kinds of attribute selection measures should be applied on the entire data set to decide a splitting criteria. Whereas this Huffington tree algorithm says that a sample n of the data set is sufficient enough to find the splitting criteria. This is the main concept here. So for that it uses some Huffington bound. So how it uses the Huffington bound, we already seen in the last class. So like this, by going through this kind of Huffington tree, we can construct the dynamic tree. Whereas in case of traditional decision tree, we need to construct the tree. We need to construct the tree at the same time. and after construction only we can able to classify the data. Whereas here, based on the current data stream present at a particular time, we can construct the decision tree. And since the data stream is continuously changing over time, so after some time, if you observe that the data stream is modified, so this is different and this one is different and this one is different. So for whenever the data stream is changed, the tree construction is also extended or enhanced dynamically. So in this way, we can construct the tree dynamically, which can be helpful for the streaming data. But what's the major drawback here is, if a node is created once, suppose if let us say here node 1 and this is node 2, like this. So if once a node is created, it cannot be redone, it cannot be modified, it cannot be changed. That is the main drawback here, which is also called concept drift, which is also called concept drift. Concept drift in the sense, concept drift exists as the time comes, change of concept. So we can't fix it to a particular concept. So concept drift వస్తుంది. Concept drift వచ్చినప్పుడు accordingly the model has to be changed. So ఇక్కడ అది అవ్వట్లేదు కాబట్టి that is the major drawback here. That's why we are moving for the. So here ఇక్కడ మీకు classification algorithms మొత్తం ఈ concept drift మీదే వెళ్తాయి. So to achieve that, we are moving for the next algorithm, which is very fast decision tree. This is somewhat a little extension of the previous Huffington tree algorithm. So this modifies this includes several modifications, which includes breaking near ties during the attribute selection. So where the Huffington tree algorithm cannot break the ties, computing the function attribute the selection function after a number of training examples. So it actually what it does is it computes the attribute selection function frequently. So deactivate, and the next one is deactivating the least promising leaves whenever memory is running low. So since the memory is limited, but the data is very vast, what it can do is this VFDP algorithm. What it can do is it can deactivate the least significant nodes. As the data is growing, the significance of the nodes and significance of the elements is also keep changing. So it deactivates the least significant leaves. So it can be that particular memory can be helpful for the upcoming nodes. So dropping poor splitting attributes. If at all an attribute is very poorly doing its splitting strategy, it can drop that attribute. So improve the initialization method. All these are the modifications added in this method. So even though this works well on stream data, it still cannot handle the concept drift in data streams. So since this particular algorithm, VFDT, is little better than the Huffington tree algorithm, but it does not get rid the problem of concept drift. So how it can be managed means here the solution is in the form of the sliding window approach. So what is the sliding window approach? Did you heard the word sliding window protocol ever before? Anybody? Did you heard the word sliding window approach or sliding window protocol in your computer networks? I think you can have that. ఎవరైనా విన్నారా అది స్లైడింగ్ విండో అనే వర్డ్? Anybody heard the word sliding window? ఎక్కడ విన్నారు? పవిత్ర చెప్పండి 53. సో స్లైడింగ్ విండో గురించి మీకు ఏం తెలుసు? సంథింగ్ విండోకి ఒక సైజ్ ఫిక్స్ చేస్తాము, సమ్ ఎలిమెంట్స్ ని హోల్డ్ చేస్తుంది, it keeps on continuously changing like that. We heard that. So here also we are using the sliding window approach. So మీకు ఆల్రెడీ బేసిక్ నాలెడ్జ్ ఉంది కాబట్టి ఇది ఈజీగా అర్థం అవ్వచ్చు. ఒకసారి చూడండి. It is to incorporate new examples and eliminate the effect of old ones. సో కాన్సెప్ట్ డ్రిఫ్ట్ అచీవ్ చేయాలంటే మనకు కావాల్సింది ఏంటి అంటే if at all the model is constructed, సో మోడల్ కన్స్ట్రక్షన్ అయిన తర్వాత న్యూ ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ యాడ్ అవుతూ వస్తాయి కాబట్టి we need to incorporate that new examples into the model, and we need to gradually eliminate the effect of the old examples on the constructed model. So for that, this is a suitable approach for solving this problem. So traditional classifiers can be repeatedly applied to the examples in the window. So we are having here, we are having a window with particular size, and we are having a streaming data here, and on this data we are going to apply the model by using any kind of traditional classifier. So once the window size is over, here look at the next point. As new examples are arrived, they are inserted into the beginning of the window, and a corresponding number of examples is removed from the end of the window, and the classifier is reapplied. So what is happened here? Whenever new examples are arrived, so they are inserted at the beginning of the window, and old examples are removed from the end of the window. So automatically the content in the window is keeps dynamically changing, and the classifiers are repeatedly applied to construct the model with the newly arrived data. So so with this help of sliding window approach, we can little bit um, form the solution for the concept drift problem. But what is the drawback here in the sense? This technique is sensitive to the window size. So this efficiency of this technique is particularly based on the size of the window only, and it will become very expensive to computationally construct a new model. Why? Because what is the expensiveness here? Because we are applying the classifiers again and again as the new data is arrived into the window. We are going to apply the classifier again, or we are going to go for constructing the model again and again. So many times we are going to construct the model, which is not feasible actually. We need to construct the model once, and we need to enhance the model if at all needed. But here what we are doing, we are going to construct the model again and again, which is not good. So to avoid this drawback, we are going for the next algorithm, which is concept adopting very fast decision tree algorithm. So to adopt two concept drifting data streams, this VFDT was further developed into this concept adopting very fast decision tree algorithm. So it also uses sliding window approach, but it does not construct a new model from the scratch each time. So rather, it updates statistics at the nodes by incrementing the counts associated with new examples and decrementing the counts associated with the old ones. So what it actually does, this CVFDT algorithm is a little extension of the previous one. So it is also using sliding window approach, but instead of constructing the model again and again, what it actually does is it is going to change the statistics of the model constructed. So some statistics are there. If at all you are having a data, the data is having some statistics like number of like mean, variance, standard deviation. All these are the statistics of a data. Similarly, if you consider a model, the model is also having some statistics. That is a different concept. So statistics in the sense, statistically describing something like if at all if you want to describe the person statistically, you can describe like his height. That means in terms of numerics, his height, his age, his body mass index. All these are the statistical measures of describing the person. Like that here also, if at all you are considering anything, some statistical measurement is there for that. So here, what this concept adopting very fast decision tree algorithm does is it changes the statistics of the model constructed. So it updates the statistics with the at the nodes by incrementally the counts associated with the new examples. So based on the new examples, it updates the statistics, and and also it removes the statistics belonging to the old examples. Like that, a model is up to date at every moment. So this is the perfect solution for dealing with the concept drift problem. So if there is a concept drift, some nodes may no longer pass the Huffding bound. So when this happens, an alternative subtree will be grown with the new best splitting attributes at the root. So as new examples stream in, the alternative subtree will continue to develop without it being used for classification. So once the alternative subtree becomes more accurate, then the existing one, the old subtree is replaced. So uh, whenever there is a concept drift, that particular node is inactivated gradually, and but with respect to the newly added data, a subtree is created at that particular node. Once the subtree is finalized, once the subtree is formed perfectly, then the old subtrees can be removed from the tree. So here, for example, if you have a tree like this, suppose this is the hopping tree you are having, and this is the place where concept drift occurs. That means this particular um, in this particular direction, there is some change in data dynamically. So what happened once a concept drift happened at particular node, then this particular subtree is gradually inactivating, and instead of that, a new node is created with the upcoming data, with the current present data, and gradually a subtree is developed from this node. And once this is fully grown, this old one is replaced with this new one, like this. And coming to the last classification algorithm, here it is a classifier ensemble approach to stream data classification. Remember this, remember the word ensemble. So whenever you heard the word ensemble, which means that ensemble is nothing but the collection of the classifiers. So irrespective of this stream data or static data or dynamic data, irrespective of the data type, data category, data nature, ensemble approach in the sense we are going to divide the data into some parts, and we are going to apply different classifiers for each part. Generally what we are doing, we are going to divide the data into training and test set, and we are going to we are going to construct the classifier construct models by using the training set, and we are going to use the test the model by using the test set. This is the traditional scenario. But what here is that means because to know which classifier is the best for our model. Actually, that is, we don't know actually, right? So for knowing that, one method is there in that the entire data is divided into some modules. The entire data is divided into some modules, and each module is treated as a data set. And here again, it is divided into train and test data. Here is train and test data, and here is train and test data, like this, like this. So here each model is applied, each classifier is applied if by considering that sample of the data, by considering that part of the data. So here some KNN may be applied, here some decision tree may be applied, and for this particular data, some Bayesian networks may be applied, and for this particular data, some SVM may be applied. Like this, this is ensemble approach in the sense some collection of classifiers we are using here, and there exists a voting method is there here. There exists some voting method is there, and depends on the voting achieved. It depends on the best voting in the sense it purely depends on the performance of the classifier on a particular trained data, test data. So based on the voting, the collective accuracy is resulted as the output. That is the traditional way, that is the existing scenario for the encoding approach. Let's come into this topic here. The idea is to train an ensemble or group of classifiers from sequential chunks of the data stream. So whenever new chunk arrives, we build a new classifier from it. So because this is the basic idea, so whenever new chunk arrives, so here new chunk is added, and we can apply some other classifier, or you can apply the same old classifier, no problem. So here so the individual classifiers are weighted based on their expected classification accuracy in a time changing environment. So only the top K classifiers are kept. So the decisions are then based on the weighted votes of the classifiers. So that is about that. Next, come to the clustering concept. Clustering evolving data streams. So till now we have dealing with the mining frequent patterns and classification methods. In that only we are considering decision tree of the previous decision tree from the previous classification algorithms, and from that we are having Huffding tree, and from Huffding tree we are making little bit modifications, and from that we are getting some other two classifiers also. So that is about the classification of streaming data. So now we are here with the clustering evolving data streams. So we need to cluster the data stream, evolving data stream, because the data streams are keep on changing. That we need to cluster. So what is the challenges we are facing here with the existing methods, and what are the new methodologies are there for clustering the evolving data streams. First of all, what are the constraints we are having to deal with the data stream? Let me rewind that. What are all the constraints with the data streams? What are all the constraints in the sense data stream is keep on changing and limited memory is there. We need to handle the memory effectively. We need to handle the time effectively, like this. Let me read this. Data stream model of computation requires algorithms to make a single pass over the data with bounded memory. So we can only have a single pass over the data. We can't go through the data again and again. That means we can't scan the data again and again. Why? Because it is continuously changing. There is a slogan, right? There is a slogan like you can't step into the river. You can't step into the same river twice. Did you ever heard that? You can't step into the same river twice. అది ఎవరైనా విన్నారా ఆ స్లోగన్? You can't step into the same river twice అనేది విన్నారా ఎవరైనా? జస్ట్ జనరల్ థింగ్, సబ్జెక్ట్ రిలేటెడ్ కాదు నేను అడుగుతున్నా. Anybody heard that? You can't step into the same river twice. ఒకే నదిలో 2 సార్లు మనం కాలు పెట్టలే అంట. విన్నారా ఎవరైనా అది? ఎందుకు పెట్టలేము అంటే బికాస్ ద రివర్ ఈస్ కంటిన్యూస్లీ మూవింగ్. మీరు ఒకసారి కాల్ పెట్టి తీసేటప్పటికి రెండోసారి పెట్టారు అంటే ఆ వాటర్ చేంజ్ అయిపోతుంది ఇక్కడ. సో బేస్డ్ ఆన్ దట్ లాజిక్ వీఆర్ హ్యావింగ్ ఎ స్లోగన్ లైక్ యూ కాంట్ స్టెప్ ఇన్ టు ద సేమ్ రివర్ ట్వైస్. సిమిలర్లీ హియర్ ఆల్సో యూ కాంట్ స్కాన్ ద you can't scan out the data for the second time. Why? Because data is keep on changing. You can't scan for the second time. So manaki double pass, only single pass is allowed here. So that is a constraint. So with bounded memory, so here memory is also limited, right? And limited processing time. With respect to time also we need to consider, whereas a stream may be highly dynamic and evolving over time. So these are all the constraints. Whereas if you consider our streaming data, which is dynamically evolving and changing over time. So e constraints in base చేసుకొని ఇలాంటి డేటాని మనం ఎలా క్లస్టర్ చేయాలి? That is the challenge here. So for effective clustering of stream data, several new methodologies have been developed and which are as follows. So these are the broadly there are some briefly there are some methodologies for effective clustering of the stream data. So let us go through those methodologies. So compute and store summaries of the past data. So here instead of storing, why? Because here we need to cluster the data. Cluster the data in means streaming data చాలా vast గా ఉంటుంది. ఆ డేటా మొత్తాన్ని తీసుకొచ్చి మనం క్లస్టర్ చేయడం అనేది highly impossible. గ్రూప్ చేయడం అనేది highly impossible. సో ఇక్కడ ఏం చేయొచ్చు అంటే we can compute the summaries of the past data. Summaries in the sense, suppose మీరు ఒక క్వశ్చన్ ప్రిపేర్ అయ్యారు ఎగ్జామ్ ముందు, అంటే ఎగ్జామ్ కి ఇంకో 1 hour లో వెళ్ళాలనుకో ఆ క్వశ్చన్ ఒకసారి చూసుకోవాలి. సో వాట్ ఈస్ ద బెస్ట్ వేస్? While preparing itself, you can write the summary of that topic in a book, in a single para. ఒక essay question చదివిన మీరు దాని సమ్మరీ, దాని గిస్ట్ ని ఒక పారాగ్రాఫ్ ఫార్మాట్ లో మీరు ఒక బుక్ లో రాసుకుంటే that is enough to divide the whole thing. Similarly, here also we need to store the summaries of the past data, and we are going to cluster on that. And second one, apply divide and conquer strategy. So here also the concept is same. Instead of summarizing the entire data, we are dividing the data into different chunks, and we are like this. Here we are dividing the data into different chunks, and we are making some summaries here. Module wise summaries we are doing, and we are again cluster that summaries and maintain those clusters. That is one way. And incremental clustering of incoming data streams. So here this is clusters are formed and arrived incrementally. This we all know. So once if at all you form some clusters with the existing summaries, if at all some new data is arrived, your algorithm should be able to handle this new data also. Based on this data, you need to form the clusters incrementally. Incremental refining is needed here. Why? Because suppose the particular data ఈ cluster సంబంధించింది అయితే it should be added to this. That is the incremental nature. So perform micro as well as macro clustering analysis. So here, as the name itself indicates, first we need to perform the micro clusters based on the stored summaries, And after that, based on the micro clusters, you can form the macro clusters on top of it. So that is one way. And explore multiple time granularity for the analysis of cluster evolution. Explore multiple time granularity for the analysis of cluster evolution. So here, since recent upcoming data is more important than the past data in stream, data analysis snapshots of summaries data at different points of time are stored using titled time frame model. So instead of some summary data is there, summarized data is there, and here snapshots of the summarized data is going to be stored and further clustered. Here, divide the stream clustering into online and offline process. So here the entire clustering process is divided into online and offline process. So here summaries of data snapshots should be computed, stored and incrementally updated online. So what we have done here is that is coming to the online process. And coming to the offline analysis, here offline analysis is also performed to retrieve data about past, current or evolving clusters. So if at all user want to want to retrieve the past data, there in such case, some offline analysis is also needed. So all these are the basic strategies of the clustering. And we are having two clustering algorithms for the clustering of data streams. Stream algorithm is there and clue stream is another one. Two algorithms are there, stream and clue stream. Coming to the stream algorithm. So it is purely based on the k-medians. That's why the name k-medians based stream clustering algorithm. That is based on, since I already told you, whatever the algorithms we have learned in this chapter are based on the previous classification and clustering algorithms only. Or whatever the procedures we are dealing with in this chapter, those are all based on the existing mechanisms only. Like that. So here, so this stream algorithm is based on the k-medians. So given a data stream model of points x1 to xn with the timestamps to t1 to tn. So what makes the difference here with the traditional approach? Whereas in case of static data, in dealing with the static data, we are not going to deal with the timestamps. We are not going to deal with the timestamps. Whereas here, where we need to deal with the timestamps. So given a data stream model of points x1 to xn with timestamps t1 to tn, the objective is to produce good clusters using a small amount of memory and time. So given a data stream model of points x1 to xn with timestamps t1 to tn, what is the objective here? To produce good clusters using small amount of memory and time. That is the constraint here. So stream is a single pass constant factor approximation algorithm that was developed for the k-medians problem. So to achieve high quality clustering, the stream algorithm processes data streams in buckets of m points, with each bucket filling in main memory. So here the entire data is again stored in different buckets, which consisting of a maximum of m points, where each bucket consisting of m number of points. So for each bucket, stream clusters the bucket points into k clusters. So here, ఒక్కొక్క bucket లో ఎన్ని points ఉంటాయి? M number of points ఉంటాయి. Each bucket consisting of m number of points, and after that, how many clusters we need to form out of these n points? K clusters we need to form. From these m points, k clusters can be formed from each bucket. Remember that. So in stream algorithm, initially the data points are stored in different buckets, where at most m points are stored in each bucket. And after that, once the data points are stored in the bucket, and after that, clusters are formed or the bucket. How many clusters? K clusters. By using which algorithm? K-medians algorithm. So by following the k-medians algorithm, k clusters are formed in each bucket. So it then summarizes the bucket information by retaining only the important information regarding the k center. So here, how summaries are formed in the sense? Here, for each bucket, instead of clusters, after that, instead of clusters, cluster centers are captured. Cluster center, suppose this is a cluster and this is the cluster center. 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 So, what is the cluster center? A cluster center can represent the entire cluster, right? ఆ క్లస్టర్ మొత్తాన్ని రిప్రజెంట్ చేసేది క్లస్టర్ సెంటర్. సపోజ్ నేను మీకు ఏమైనా చెప్పాలనుకోండి, మీ క్లాస్లో సిఆర్ ఉంటే నేను ఏం చెప్తాను జనరల్గా, ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ అన్ ఆన్లైన్ క్లాస్, I can instruct the CR to do something, to do that. So CR will intimate you, or because CR is the representative of the whole class. Similarly, here also the cluster is the representative of the whole. Cluster center is the representative of the whole cluster. So this particular algorithm captures the cluster centers instead of the clusters. So it then summarizes the bucket information. Let me change the color. So it then summarizes the bucket information by retaining only the information regarding the cluster centers. So K centers are there for each and every bucket now. So each cluster center being weighted by the number of points assigned to its cluster. So once enough clusters have been collected, the weighted centers are again clustered to produce another set of K cluster centers. So once, suppose some K clusters are collected from cluster centers are collected from this bucket, and from this bucket also K cluster centers are collected, and from this bucket also K cluster centers are collected. So this is a, so here after that, on top of all these cluster centers, again some K clusters are formed. Again some K clusters are formed. So, and ikkada emoutundi, vast amount of data. First we are representing that into the buckets. So we are dealing with the each and every bucket separately. So ఒక్కొక్క bucket తీసుకుంటే ఏమవుతుంది, if you consider the first bucket, again ఆ bucket లో కూడా మనం internal గా we are going to form the clusters, and again we are considering only the cluster centers from each bucket. So అలా మీకు suppose ఒక bucket లో m points ఉంటే we are only considering k centers from that. Let us assume that each center is a point. So అక్కడ ఏమవుతుంది, మీకు m points కనుక ఒక bucket లో ఉంటే ఓన్లీ k points ని మనం కన్సిడర్ చేస్తాం ఫైనల్ గా. Let us assume that m is equal to some 100 and k is equal to 10. అంటే 100 points ని మీరు 10 clusters కి ఫార్మ్ చేశారు ఒక్కొక్క బకెట్ లో. సపోజ్ ఇక్కడ 3 buckets ఉన్నాయి అంటే 300 points ని మనం 30 cluster centers ని యూజ్ చేసుకొని రిప్రజెంట్ చేస్తాం. So all these 300 points are represented with, let us assume that m is equal to 100. There are 100 points in each bucket. So all those 100 points are clustered into 10 clusters, grouped into 10 clusters. So which means that we can have 10 cluster centers from each bucket, which means that we are going to capture the information about 300 points into 30 points only, where each point is a cluster center here. So next మళ్ళీ ఏం చేస్తున్నాం, once like this, once the sufficient points are reached, again we are going to cluster them into k clusters. సో ఇక్కడ ఈ 30 cluster centers ని again మనం k అంటే ఏంటి 10 అనుకున్నాం కదా, again మనం 10 clusters గా ఫార్మ్ చేస్తున్నాం. ఫైనల్ గా 10 clusters వస్తాయి మనకి. ఈ 10 clusters నుంచి మనకి ఏమొస్తాయి, 10 cluster centers వస్తాయి. అంటే ఏంటి, మనం ఒక 300 points ని 10 points లో రిప్రజెంట్ చేస్తున్నాం. So instead of storing 300 points, it is enough to have that 10 points. So that is the way of summarizing the data. So here, so it is repeated at every level, at most m points are retained. So this approach results in a one pass big of k n time big of n epsilon space constant factor approximation algorithm for data stream k medians. So what is the advantage here is that clusters are generated with limited space and limited time. So that is an advantage. But what is the drawback here? Stream does not consider the evolution of the data and the time granularity, and the clustering can become dominated by the older, outdated data of the stream. So it is good enough with respect to time and space, with respect to especially space, but there is a big drawback here. What is that? It is not evolving. It does not consider the nature of consider the feature of evolving nature, and it is not up to date with respect to time. That means it is not going to incorporate well the incoming data. Like that, some little drawbacks are there with this. So that's why we are moving to the next one, which is Clustream, clustering evolving data streams. Clustream. So here, Clustream is an algorithm for the clustering of evolving data streams based on user-specified online clustering queries. So it is something evolving. It is something incorporates the evolving nature of the data. So title time frame model is adopted for clustering based on both the historical and current stream data information. So here is some model called titled time frame model. Here is a model called titled time frame model that is adopted here for clustering based on both historical and current stream data information. So in clustering, in Clustream, clustering process is divided into online and offline component. So here the entire clustering process is divided into online component and offline component. And here is about explanation about online component. And here we can deal with the offline component. So coming to the online component, so it computes and stores summaries of statistics about the data stream using microclusters and perform incremental online computation and the data stream using microclusters. So it finally deals with the microclustering. So it forms the microclusters. So microclusters are represented as a clustering feature. So did you have heard the word clustering feature ever before? I want the response for this question. I don't leave otherwise. Did you heard the word clustering feature? Say yes or no. చెప్పాలి అలా కామ్గా ఉంటే కుదరదు. వినే వాళ్ళ క్లాస్ రండి. Did you heard the word clustering feature? Clustering feature అనే వర్డ్ విన్నారా ఎక్కడైనా? Number 19. Pavitra. ఎవరు క్లాస్ వినట్లేదా? నేను దాని గురించి చెప్పమని అడగలేదు, విన్నారా అని అడుగుతున్నాను అంతే. ఎక్కడ విన్నారు? ఏ టాపిక్ లో విన్నారు అప్రాక్సిమేట్ గా? క్లస్టరింగ్ ఫీచర్. చెప్పాలి పవిత్ర. క్లాసిఫికేషన్ లో ఎక్కడ విన్నాం? ఏ క్లాసిఫికేషన్ లో విన్నాం అది? ఓకే, క్లాసిఫికేషన్ కాదు, బిట్స్ అల్గోరిథం లో విన్నాం మనం. బిట్స్ అల్గోరిథం, బిట్స్ క్లస్టరింగ్ అల్గోరిథం లో we're having clustering feature for each cluster. That means each cluster is represented with the clustering feature, which is indicated with the tuple like this, n, some ls, some like this approximately, where n indicates the number of instances of the cluster, where ls indicates the linear sum and ss indicates the square root sum of the elements. గుర్తొచ్చిందా? మనం ఇక్కడ బిట్స్ అల్గోరిథం is there in the 4th unit, right? So bitch clustering algorithm lo there every cluster is represented with the clustering feature cf. So akkada manam idi vinnam. So here also the same concept they are taken. Why? Because I am telling that all these are not the new algorithms. They are using some existing algorithms only and adding little bit enhancements to handle the streaming data only. So here microclusters are represented as a clustering feature, and Clustream extends the concept of clustering feature developed in BITCH to include the temporal domain. So ikkada already manaki clustering feature BITCH lo undi, danni ikkada extend chestunam Clustream lo, enduku ante to include the temporal domain. So the microcluster for a set of d-dimensional points x1 to xn with timestamps t1 to tn is defined as follows. So here is the tuple. So instead of this format, we are going to use this format here, where x అనేది then indicates it indicates the data points, and this t indicates the timestamps, where n is the total number of elements in the cluster. So what is this CF2x and CF1x in the sense? This is the linear sum of the data points, and this is the squared sum. And here also this is the linear sum of the timestamp, and this is the squared sum of the timestamps, where n is the number of data points. So this is the representation of the cluster in case of CluStream. So clustering features have additive and subtractive properties. This already we know that in the which also we are having the same property. Clustering features have additive and subtractive properties. Here also the same thing. So here online micro clustering process is divided into two phases: statistical data collection and updating of micro clusters. And this is about online component. And coming to the offline component, here it does macro clustering. So previously in online component, we are dealing with the micro clustering, and here we are dealing with the macro clustering. So in offline component, it does macro clustering and answers various user queries using the stored summary statistics, which are based on the title timeframe model. So here everything is based on the title timeframe model. Here macro clustering allows a user to explore the stream clusters over different time horizons. సో సపోజ్ నాకు టైం హారిజన్ ఒక హెచ్ అనే టైం హారిజన్ తీసుకున్నాను. ఆ టైం హారిజన్ లోపల బికాస్ వీఆర్ ఎట్ దిస్ టైం, దిస్ ఈస్ ద కరెంట్ టైం ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, or this is the current time. So there is a time difference of h. This is the previous time and this is the current time. So particular h అనే టైం హారిజన్ లో డేటా నాకు కావాలి. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ యూజర్ క్వరీస్ లైక్ దట్. So it can because this is an offline component, it can able to handle the past data also. Offline component past data కూడా హ్యాండిల్ చేసి యూజర్ రిక్వైర్మెంట్ బేస్ చేసుకొని యూజర్ రిక్వైర్మెంట్ క్వరీని బేస్ చేసుకొని ఇది డేటాని రిట్రైవ్ చేయగలుగుతుంది. So here macro clusters allows the user to explore the stream clusters or different time horizons. So a time horizon h is a history of length h of the stream as we deal here. So given a user specified time horizon h and the number of desired clusters k, macro clustering finds k high dimensional clusters over h. So past data nunchi kuda naaku k clusters kavali ante it can be done with this method. So the snapshot at time tc minus h is subtracted from the snapshot at the current time. So how it can be retrieved in the sense, if this is the current time and this is the older time, by considering the time horizon h, and here it considers the snapshot here, and here it considers the snapshot here, and this snapshot should be subtracted from this one to get the overall picture of the data or the time horizon h. So given a user specified time horizon h and so the micro clusters in the horizon are reclustered in order to determine high level clusters. So what is the advantage here is CluStream drive high quality clusters, so offer rich functionality to the user, and the title time frame along with the micro clustering structure allow for better accuracy and efficiency on real data, and it maintains scalability in terms of stream size, dimensionality, and the number of clusters. So this is all about the clustering of the dynamic data streams. So this is about the basics of this particular chapter 5. And next topic is, in the next class we are going to deal with the mining sequence patterns in transactional databases. So in the next class, tomorrow's class, we are going to deal with what is meant by first sequence data. So till now we are going to deal with the streaming data, which is having some continuously evolving nature. So now in the next class we are going to deal with the sequence data, or first of all, what is meant by sequence data. So what is the sequence data in transactional databases, and how to mine the sequential patterns from that. So whereas here we are mining the frequent patterns, till now we heard the word frequent patterns, not sequential patterns. So in the beginning of the chapter also we are dealing with the frequent pattern mining in data streams. We are dealing with this content, right? But now here in the tomorrow's session, we are going to deal with the sequential data in the transactional databases. What are all the sequential patterns and how to mine that sequential patterns we are going to deal with the next class. And my sincere advice is try to not skip the classes. అటెండెన్స్ కోసం మాత్రం వచ్చే వాళ్ళు అయితే స్కిప్ చేసేసుకోండి, నాకు ప్రాబ్లం లేదు. మీరే ఎందుకంటే నేను పర్టికులర్